Okay, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of. Did we come up with a name for these yet? Joe, Harshit, anybody? Okay. Well, we're gonna do these Learn It Live segments on Thursdays, coming up with a name to be determined. Broadcasting live from Playa del Carmen. Yeah, it's been a heck of an ordeal to get here, but we're gonna go through this. Looks like the internet is stable. We're gonna build a cool little site. Harshit today, we're gonna try this again. Harshit's gonna build while Joe and I kind of do color commentary, explain what's going on. What are you thinking about as we go into this?
Well, new segment, new learning. We're making changes last episode. I just see this as a forever evolving live build series each week. I'm excited.
Yeah. And we probably got to figure out a way. It'd be cool to do, like, let's say we build, the crowd builds, and maybe we go back to like a critique style show where then we review some of the builds. That could be cool. So yeah, playing with
that could be really cool. I'd be publishing throughout the live stream and have people following along with us. So if you miss something or you want to see which style specifically was applied, you can have that published read-only always available to you. That could be a really cool format. We can start doing that as we progress this show.
Nice. Okay. Harshit, what's up? What did you learn last week that you're going to bring to the table this week?
Yeah, I'm so excited for this one because I am a big PlayStation fan, a big fan of PlayStation. So I actually really wanted to make a website on DualSense controller, and now it's happening. So let's see how it goes.
Nice. All right. Well, we don't have any fancy intro or anything. Let's just jump into it. So Harshit, I think, what are you going to share your screen again today? We'll probably drop off the screen like we did before. Yeah, and let me say what's up real quick. We got Jay
Sure.
Poucher in
Can
the
we also
house,
share the
Magdalena.
Dropbox link?
Slawek is here. Supercharged Studio, what's up? Christopher Coleman, hello. Jeremy LaRoe, Arianto. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 2 of Client Live Build. And what were you saying, Harshit? What did you want me to share?
Yeah, I was saying that let's share the Dropbox link. So if anyone wants to follow along, they can.
Cool. So I just shared that in the
Yeah,
comments.
that Dropbox will have all the assets. Here we go.
Nice. And Harshit, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen.
Nice. And also the live website link, is it shared already?
I will share that as well. Let's put that here.
Nice.
And
Here we go.
Okay, great. All right, so there you go. The comments will pin the Dropbox message, and I'll keep the PlayStation site up on the screen as we go. We will have Harshit sharing his screen here. So let's jump over to that. And yeah, whenever you're ready, Harshit.
Sure. Is my screen visible?
Yep.
Nice.
I'll ask that you do a
let's
zoom
get
in.
started.
Just do one or two levels of zoom in, please.
Nice. Okay.
Is it good now?
Yeah, I think we're good.
I am actually, I'm not seeing the screen move in real time for me. It continues to freeze the stream on my end.
Oh, it's
okay,
just,
now we're back.
Yeah, it's just on through the preview link. Yeah. All right, Harshit, go ahead whenever you're ready here.
Okay, sure. So let's start with the nav bar again.
We'll make sure we're going real slow for folks and explaining kind of what you're doing as you're going through it. So are you using the Webflow nav element
Nice.
here? Are you building your own nav? What's happening?
Yeah, sure. So I am actually using Webflow nav element so that we have the triggers option if we want some kind of animations, and it's also good for accessibility, right? But I don't want to use the Webflow container. So I'm going to remove this and place my own container, and I will call it nav underscore container. And there is a shortcut. I can always have container large and create a duplicate class and rename it to nav underscore container. And I will
Okay.
take each and every element inside, and let's delete the old container. Here we go. Let's align these. We will change the color to transparent, and you can see that I don't have a page padding, so page padding is very important here. I will add that. So I think
And just for those watching right now, it looks like Joe's having a hard time seeing what is on, and this may just be some of the connectivity issues here, but as far as color commentary, Harshit, you may have to step up here and kind of do a real good job of explaining like what it is you're actually doing as you go through here, so that Joe and I can kind of chime in, because we can't see the screen real good. I don't know how it is on the end there.
okay.
This is a complete test, y'all. Bear with us as we get our Mexican live streaming vibes together here. So,
Well,
Nice.
we
So right.
something to note. Oh, yeah, please go, Harshit.
Yeah, do please go. Yeah. So I was saying that we are on the nav menu right now, and I'm working on the nav link. So I'm naming all the things related to my nav underscore component. So I have my nav menu ready, nav links ready, and then I will have my nav button here. So I will call it nav menu button to be more clear. And this is going to be appearing on the smaller screens. So it's hidden for now. Let's see what else we can do. I'm going to change the design a little bit because what I'm planning is that I will have anchor links for all of the pages so that it's functional. Because in the live website they are actually redirecting to different pages. So let's keep it all on the same page.
hey, Harshit, just a thought
And
here too. If you tell me, like, hey, we're going to be over in this section right here, I can kind of zoom in for folks. The problem is I don't want to like get lost on the page here. So again, just try to be real diligent in where you are on the page and then what you're doing. And I'll try to follow as best as I can with the screen cropping in and out, if you can see kind of what's happening there. And then Joe, what were you saying?
I was going to compliment the use of the nav component name, that all these new classes inside the nav component have the nav underscore. So really nice job here. This is exactly how we want to organize every custom class created for the nav. Really nice. And it's also outside of the main wrapper. Remember, accessibility. We want to put our main page content inside that main wrapper. We haven't even started with that yet. The nav component goes on the outside of that. So really nice. It's exactly what we want here.
Nice.
Jay's comment here. Just snuck in.
So we are on the nav bar remar. If you want to follow along, I'm building the nav bar. I'm going to change the design a little bit, so you can just focus on the nav bar if you want to.
Okay, and so you saying you're changing the design a little bit. What does that mean? You're going to modify the drop downs here. It looks like you're trying to recreate the drop downs. And for those of us, or those of you who are just joining us now, we're recreating this page here, which is the DualSense wireless controllers page from Mounts. They're going to be on the left of the logo hero here in the top corner. So.
Go. And actually, let's take this out. So I'm just making some real-time decisions here. And this is going to be
Walk us
nav
through what decisions are you making and why?
wrapper. Yeah, sure. So right now, what I'm trying to make is I will keep all the nav links in between. So I have wrapped them inside a nav menu that is not going to expand. It will look like this. And on the right side, I am going to place a button right here. So the decisions I was making is whether to place the button inside here. But now what I think is I will just divide them like this and expand them equally so that I have my nav menu in between, my button on the right side, and logo on the left side. Very simple layout.
Okay. Nice.
Nice.
Joe, is it getting any better on your end from the screen updates or no?
Oh, a little bit. It's on and off. It's on and off.
So what happens for those who are watching and maybe for Joe is I get the video from both Joe, Harshit, I compile it for the stream, and then I send it back to Joe and Harshit or any other guests so that they can see what's happening on the stream, as well as sending it out to the live stream. And it looks like what it does is it prioritizes the live stream output versus the guest output, and that's what Joe's dealing with a little bit of lag on that end. So hopefully.
So I'm last in line.
Yeah.
I'm deprioritized.
That's right.
That's fine. That's fine. And here we go. Sizing this button really well. All rems. Excellent.
We are
Yeah,
going to
and do you
change
want to
this
answer
a
that?
little bit later.
Do you want to answer that out loud?
Yeah.
Joe, the Arianto was asking, does it make any difference between using nav component, nav underscore component, and nav dash component? Which one do you recommend?
Yes, absolutely. We are going to use the underscore in client first because underscore is going to indicate that it is a component. It's a special character that we use to say, this is a component. There are one or more classes that have been created for this component, which is a collection of elements to make some visual piece on the page. So in the idea of our nav component, every single class inside of that nav component is going to get nav underscore what it is. And that underscore tells us that this nav word is a keyword for the nav component. So the underscore is really, really powerful in client first. If you're not aware of this, go over to the docs. We have a lot of explanation about how we name components and why this underscore is really important for the system.
Nice. Okay, and then Nick Jones, will there be a replay available? Yeah, of course. As always, this is just being streamed to YouTube directly. And after the stream, it will be available on YouTube for anybody to kind of watch and replay as they desire. Okay, so Harshit, it looks like you've dropped in some hero background here. Talk to me, what's going on?
Yep. So we have a video as a background in the real website. So I have actually converted that video into a Lottie animation, and you can find that file in the Dropbox link that we have shared with you. So I'm going to use this Lottie animation, and what I think is we have more control over Lottie. We can make it even better, like animate them on a scroll or maybe on mouse hover. So I'm going to use Lottie here.
Nice. And look at this naming here. So now we're in the main wrapper. This is now part of our main content. It's not nav, it's not the footer. And we are using the component name home header. And you can see Arianto, we have this home header underscore component. And as Harshit needs to make more classes inside this component, he's going to use home header as the keyword, underscore to indicate that it's part of a component, and then what that is. So the underscore, really powerful here, and I know that Harshit's going to continue using this as he builds out this home header.
Okay. Yeah, and feel free to share any other questions or thoughts that you have coming in. Christopher Loggins is saying, good morning, Joe.
Oh, nice. Good morning, Christopher.
Okay. So Harshit's got this video in the background, it looks like here, and then are you gonna lay the hero div kind of over top of that? What's your plan here for how you're gonna handle the little floating box inside of there?
Yes, so I'm going to set my hero content wrapper to absolute positioning, and then I'm going to center align everything so that it is in the center. Let's remove the page padding for now, and we can add based on what's the best structure we can have here. So for now, I have removed the page padding, and I am going to create this home hero content wrapper. Let's add some padding here, and then we can add the background color that is kind of white, maybe 50% opacity. Here we go. I will add heading here.
And Harshit, while you do this, can you explain to people why you put padding there, kind of in a custom class versus like global, or was that a custom class you just made for that little padding section? Explain why you made that spacing choice there.
Sure. So I'm using a custom padding here because if I don't use the custom padding, I will have to use stack up two classes here. And because I will be making it responsive after, I may need to make a custom padding here, change the padding on different breakpoints. So that's why I prefer when I have this custom class, just apply the padding directly to it so that I have more flexibility over it.
Great answer. So I'm starting to hate RAM down the pipeline versus VH and VW, and I'm trying to use them as much as possible. Jay, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Jay's talking a little bit about not liking REM versus VH and VW. I'm not sure. What do we think about that approach? And maybe I don't understand what Jay's saying there. VH and VW. Are you trying to use those as text dimensions, spacing dimensions? I'm not really. Any thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, maybe Jay, just clarify that so we're talking about the right thing here. I know me personally, I try to use VH and VW as less as possible. There's a lot of weird things that can happen with these types of measurements. But let's see.
Yeah, he's saying container spacing, sizing. The biggest problem with like VH is like, let's say, not the biggest problem, but a common problem with VH is like, let's say I'm on a desktop, in a large screen desktop, and I don't go full screen on my monitor. I just have a little window size, but it's a little narrow window. You could mess up your whole calculations if somebody's got like a real shallow height and width, using VH and VW, because it's all proportional. And so since it's proportional, I think, yeah, it just gets it's a little complicated to maintain consistency in certain places. Joe, thoughts? Any further on there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not as much of a fan of VW or VH because there's so many different device types and browsers handle these things differently. That every single browser doesn't handle it the same. Every device doesn't handle it the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of reasons. There's also great reasons to use them.
Yes.
Not saying don't use these measurements, but when your whole site is filled with these measurements, there could be some unknown complexity that you see later in the build.
And this again, remember that we're kind of, our focus here is client first, in the context that we want these sites to be easily maintained and manageable by the clients. But if this is for you, if this is for other purpose, like there's a lot of other reasons you might want to, use VM or VW or some other, even EMs or whatever, right? Whatever other system you want to use, there's plenty of reasons why you should or could or would use any of these other systems. Let's see. Ivan is asking, these sessions are great. I would love to see a build using Three.js with client first.
Ooh. Okay. That's Yeah, we could do that. That's a bit of a complex session. Yeah, that's an interesting comment.
Yeah, and Penny's saying, I built in Foundation for years. If I remember correctly, Foundation is by Zerb. It's like a framework by those folks. Yeah, so she's saying she's cool with going back to REMS. Matt Evans is saying CH. Okay. All right,
Okay,
Harshit. Let's
CH.
catch up with Harshit. Tell me a little bit about where you're at here, what's going on, and tell me what progress you've made while we were away.
Yeah. So I have not made a lot of progress here at this moment because I'm trying to figure out the best way to keep this Lottie file. I was testing whether to keep this content wrapper as an absolute position block or to keep my Lottie file as an absolute position. I think it's better to keep the Lottie file as an absolute positioning here, and I'm exactly doing this at this moment. So just like this, and yeah, this looks much better. And I will leave this.
Width while the site is full width. And I know we talked about that last week. I'm just wondering, like,
Uh-huh.
this doesn't, yeah, I don't know. I think we should, when we build
Well-
these things, like, we should
well,
try to match them as
yeah.
close as we can to the actual site. Is there a reason why we're
Well,
not
we
going
can
full
actually
width on
go
that video?
full width. Yeah, actually, it is setting a max width automatically because it's a Lottie file. I think it's trying to uh, it's trying to actually keep that ratio it is having, and that's why it is not expanding. So uh, to make it full width, I will again have to go with the first method where I'm setting my content wrapper as an absolute position. So I can show that as well. So here we go, and now you can see, Remar, that it is going to be full width. Let's make it 100%. It's static, and my content wrapper is absolute. Here we go. Now it is full width.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, let's keep it this way then. Yep.
And do we have a, what are we matching for our font here? Do we try to get like a little closer to this?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to update the font
Got
because
it.
I was not having the exact font. Yeah, the name of font in the live website is something like SST. I don't know what is that.
Yeah, oh, it's PlayStation, Sony. I wonder if it's like a custom font for Sony or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Let's jump to the second section. What can we call it? We can call it maybe section YouTube video. Do you have a better name, Joe?
Ask that again.
So I'm going to name this section as section YouTube video. Do you have a better name for this?
Actually, I'm frozen on this screen. I cannot see what you're doing, so I don't have any input for that. I'm trying to be as useful as possible. I updated the the URL pinned message. I saw that there was some issues with the RAR file. I updated it to a zip file, so if you were unable to download the RAR, zip is there for you.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish I could contribute more here, but I can't see anything.
Yeah. Okay, Joseph Bates is saying, in one of your last shows, you mentioned offering a client-first boot camp. Where can I go to sign up? Joe, do we have any updates on that for the folks?
Yep, I will share that link too. Absolutely, coming in.
And we've got, let's see, Clammy popping in here. Hi, Claudia. Yo, missed all you people. Just got back from my holiday back home. Love that you're reproducing the PlayStation website. Another thing that I love. There you go. So Webflow and PlayStation, just for you. Yeah, good to have you here, Claudia. Thanks for popping in. If y'all don't know, Floxy's is a great female-focused Webflow community. And if you're a lady out in the audience today and are looking to connect with other like-minded folks, Clemmy, share a little link in the comments so the folks can know where to find your stuff and where to find your community. Floxy's woohoo. Yeah, Penny, I agree. Okay, so we're moving into this next section, and it looks like, are we going to build the little tab component?
I
'Cause
want
it
to
looks
share
like
another.
that.
So this is how actually section. I'm going to divide this into two parts. I'm going to create a global that will be called as section header, and I'm going to use this section header in the rest of my sections where I have these kind of headings where it is centered and I have a heading and a paragraph, and I can then directly give it a max width like this. Let's have it this way. And now what I will do is I will give a bottom margin directly to this section. Why I'm doing this? Again, to have a flexibility here. So instead of using the global class, I'm going to reuse this section header class, and that is going to help us to build more section in the page. So I'm going to reuse this section.
Nice, okay. So you're going to use, let's see, when we go through, let's see, if I go to the main site, is the main site, when I go through the tabs, does it change the whole page? It does. So are these tabs the whole page? Is that what you're saying, that you're going to then put the whole page once you build it into like a tab element that'll recreate that top section? Or did I
Are you talking about the
misunderstand what you
top
were saying
section,
there?
the navbar?
No, like if we look at this, let's see, at the top, we've got this like extra nav element that looks like some kind of tab section. Actually, in this context, it's taking us to new pages, but it's acting like a tab section. So I was just wondering.
Nice. Yeah, actually, I will be using the section, but I am going to connect different section of this page. So, PlayStation in their website, they are actually having different pages, but I am going to anchor them to different sections in our version.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So you're going to then use
Yeah.
those to recreate this little drop down. Let me show the folks. Because this menu has links that will then pull you down the page. And so just a bit of design discretion there to make it a little easier for the live stream. So yeah, just helping people keep up with what's.
No, people want a game together. That's what I'm getting. As we're building this PS5, all the gamers are coming out. And yeah, that's another way to connect. You don't just have to connect inside industry-related topics. So cool. Would love to see that.
What's that? Did you just say Finsweet game night, Joe?
That sounds nice. I like that.
We could set up. I bet we have some gamers in the Finsweet, staple of devs and like on the team. So that might be fun to do some kind of like just not Webflow related, hangout, live gaming, just whatever. There you go. Jay's saying he plays everything. Yeah. Clammy, y'all just need my ideas all around. There we go. That's right.
Yep.
Gabe said,
I am not a gamer.
I know, I'm not at all either. I'm so bad.
Yeah,
Well-
exactly. I stopped gaming when I was a kid because I realized how bad I was at it. And I kind of said, hey, this is just not for me. I can't do anything with this. So I just gave it up.
Yeah, I think it was Zelda on the Nintendo 64, like the Ocarina of Time was my last video game that I spent any real like significant amount of time on. And the game's that's just too many buttons, man. You gotta there's like so many buttons on these controllers now. I don't even know what to do when I get to one of these gaming systems. It's funny. The original Quake just got a remaster. Everyone will feel right at home in there. Yeah, nice. Okay, and I'm actually on the wrong screen here. So okay, harsh shit. Back to harsh shit. Okay,
Yeah, so I
Harshit, so
just
talk to me a little
completed
bit.
the
Where are you
YouTube
at? What are we
section.
on?
Sure. So I decided to name this section as this component as YouTube component, and then we have a YouTube underscore lightbox, and then a YouTube underscore thumbnail. So I'm actually naming this straightforward, very clear, and when you read this name, you will directly understand what this element is actually doing in the website. And this is how I have structured the section. I have a section header that is having a bottom margin of 3 rems. I'm going to reuse this section header in other sections as well. Then we have our
Nice.
lightbox here. So now I am building the feature section because I can see there are more than one feature section here. So I have decided that I will name this section features 1. So you can name it this way as well, or you can come up with a better name. If you guys have a name, please suggest it. And yeah, we can use it here as well.
Nice.
Great. And Harshit, as you continue building, I'd love for you to keep that YouTube section open. And Raimar, you can zoom right into that YouTube section. I'd love to talk about this great decision to not add the section title. There we go, section header. So Harshit made the decision to not put this section header inside the YouTube component. You can see we have YouTube component, YouTube lightbox, YouTube thumbnail. If we added an icon inside here that was custom to this section, it would be called the YouTube icon. But very specifically, the section header is not called YouTube section header or YouTube title. It's called section dash header. So me, as somebody who knows client first, I am looking at this and I automatically know that this section header is not just for this YouTube component, that this now has a much more global and general name. This can be reused later in the site and it can be used anywhere. It has no component naming, there's no underscore, and it's a very general name. So that's a really, really nice example of creating a new custom class in your build, but not tying it to a component. Really, really great.
Nice.
Nice. And also, let's say we have a section where this thing is left aligned. So in that case, what I will do is I will just use a combo class here. I will call it maybe is left align, something like this, and I will just left align this section for that particular section, this section header for that particular section. So this is how we can also use our custom class in a good way.
Great.
And here you can see I'm again using this section header. And
Nice. And a really great benefit, a really simple and great benefit of this is that use of the margin bottom. We see margin bottom, I think it was 3 rems. So as this continues to be used throughout the build, we actually have a global class that is managing just the spacing bottom on the section header. It's a great example of not using the spacing globals, that all the section headers can now have the same exact space on the bottom, globally managed by one single class. So it's a really, really nice use case.
Okay. Jay's giving me a hard time. How many keys are on a keyboard? Making fun of me for saying too many buttons. It's different, man. And honestly, if you saw me typing, you'd be like, "Oh, I get it." Like, I never actually learned how to properly type. I just kind of like chicken peck at the keyboard, and that's not to say like I can get going fast, right? So I got some serious like I can rip on a keyboard, but I can't like close my eyes and rip on a keyboard, you know? So like, I'm still old school, man. I grew up with like, you know, Atari and fucking being outside most of the time. Y'all kids be living in front of these computers.
How vintage.
I know.
Throwback.
That's right. Remember outside, y'all? It's nice out there. You should try it sometimes. Okay, let's see. Tetris mindfulness session, yeah. Outside, Penny's asking outside, what's that? All right, Harshit, talk to me. What are you working on here? I see some little icons. I see, it looks like you're bringing just under that little hero video there into those little side-by-side icon boxes, right?
Yep.
So talk to me about the structure on
And
these. Is this,
I have Mhm.
go ahead.
You can be more specific here. You can name it maybe controller features component, because these are actually depicting the features of controller. So you can also name it like this. But the benefit I see here is that maybe I can use this component again if I need to. But for now, I have decided to use it as features one underscore component. Uh, and inside this, we have item, that is features one item, and inside that we have features one image. So everything inside this, you will see it's named as features one underscore component. It's actually named on our component. And you can see these paragraphs are not really named on the component because these are just basic elements. But in the website, I see that these paragraphs are actually smaller. So what I think I will do is I will use my text small class here, just like this, and same here as well. Here we go. Something like this. Let's try to balance this. 6 times.
And so for those, a great approach to help with easily managing the gutter spacing as well as any vertical spacing on that element if you're not using global padding or global margins. And so it looks like he's got a custom component that's this feature one section, and you don't need to number it, right? Like let's say this is a feature section you're going to use a lot. You could call it like icon feature section or whatever, right? And so Harshit's calling this feature section 1 because it's the first feature section here, but you could call this anything. It could just be icon columns section or whatever. Whatever makes sense for you. Right? And if something you're going to be reusing this in a number of sections, you can use a more global name. If this is something you're going to use in just one page, then maybe you get a little more custom with that name. Let's see. Arianto's asking the link for the client first bootcamp. Sorry, I didn't know if that had gone out.
Just share that.
Yeah, let me pin it.
Just reshare that right under. And also, again, with this how to name features one or icon component or icon column, it could also be specific to the homepage. Remember that these naming decisions are based on your project and your build. Your goal is to be the most clear that you can be. And that's clear for yourself when you jump into the build in 4 months. That's clear for the client when they open up the project for the first time, or some other freelancer or agency that opens it 2 years later. That you want somebody to go in here and say, I understand what this is because it's named so well. That's really the goal. So home features one, icon, global icon, whatever it is, make sure you're doing it for your build.
Nice. Hey, Joe, I didn't see that link either. Can you send it again and I'll post it and pin it?
Yeah, of course. Just a lot of technical issues here for me. I will send that over to you directly.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get that up in the comments here for the folks asking for that, and we'll pin that to the chat so that it's there available for everyone. Let's see. Copy link. Okay. Client first bootcamp. Did you want to talk a little bit about how that's going to work, Joe? Because I know it's going to be kind of limited seating. It's not like we're going to open this up to everyone. So do you want to maybe just, there it is, client first bootcamp. I just posted it, and then I pinned that comment to the top of the chat. So it should be up there at the top.
We recently had a very successful internal bootcamp for Client First. This was a few months ago. This team helped build the Client First system, the documentation, the templates that you see, and it was a huge success. So now we're taking it public, and our very first bootcamp is probably 5 selected people to be the first people who are officially client first certified. So the idea is that you understand client first, you know how it works, and then you jump into this boot camp and our team reviews your work. Make sure that you do understand, you understand the principles of client first. After this boot camp, you will be client first certified, and it's the first official certification that we give out for the system. If this is a success, if the 5 people selected all get their certification, everything is a win-win-win for everyone, we're going to continue this system with groups of 20 people or 30 people. There'll be a lot of community learning, a lot of community help, and we want people to be client first certified and be proud of that. Show that on their website, have a tag, a badge saying, I am trained and verified by Finsweet in this naming convention. So you can be part of the first 5. And that's what that Airtable early access link is. In about 1 to 2 weeks, we're going to come back with a more formal application process, sharing some projects, your experience, your history, all that stuff. And we'll choose 5 people probably sometime mid to late September.
Nice. It's funny that I just saw in the comments here, it doesn't come in on my side. It comes in as elbow cough, but Edgar Antonio, I think people use this as like a dabbing emoji. It's in the comments there, but it comes through as elbow cough, which I think is kind of funny. That people think it's dabbing, but the actual emoji is a elbow cough. Okay, let's catch back up with Harshit for a little bit. Harshit, talk to us. Where are you at? I see you've got the icon sections built out. So you've got these little 2-column sections here. Let me show people just real quick for reference what we're building. We're building this PlayStation controller, DualSense wireless controller site. And so just kind of building the structure of these. And we've just gotten to this little column now on Harshit's screen to look at, oh, there we go, okay.
Oh, what just happened?
Nope, we just got a little flicker, so it's okay. Go ahead. Tell me what, tell me what you're working on a little bit. Oh, looks like we're losing Harshit in and out here, which may bring us to a quick end to the stream.
Well, you know what we can do? I'd love to ask the people live here how long these should be. Last week, we did the entire page for the Chromebook, and it was a full 2 hours. And at the end of it, I was pretty tired. It was an intense session. But a lot of people stayed the whole 2 hours. So do we have 2-hour sessions? Do we have 1-hour sessions?
4,500 views since last week, right? So like 4,500 views in a week on that first client first build. I don't know if that's because it was the first one. I don't know if people are that interested in learning about this type of structure and how these type of builds work. I don't really know what caused that. So we'll see. This will be a second kind of test on that. So yeah, I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Jay saying the longer the better, in my opinion. And I think, you know, like taking a little bit of these liberties with the design too, because we're mostly just trying to show you the structure and how to build the sites. These streams are not necessarily about, you know, like pixel perfect design. This is about kind of understanding how to build in Webflow with client first as a system. And so, Joe, maybe we should start with a disclaimer on some of those shows. So I know we do the disclaimers on the Finsweet streams, but we should have a disclaimer on these.
I have a really nice use case to use our utility classes, so I can share it in this section. So we have this game banner section that I have not named is as NBA component, because I have named this as game banner component. So let's say if I want to replace the game, I can do that still. And now inside that game component, I have this banner image set as absolute positioning to the left side. But in some cases, this image might be creating an issue for me. So let's say if I want to make this image unclickable, I can use our utility class that is clickable off. So when I do that, this image will be unclickable for me and I can have my content here freely. I can access my content really easily. So this is a nice use of clickable off that you can use in these kind of scenarios. And then we have the banner content, game banner content. Inside that I have a simple image. You can see that I have not named this image, so let's name this image. I will name it game banner content image, something like this. Then we have our heading and our paragraph. Nice.
And it does look like we're stable again here. We did get a little drop there. Emma was saying, oh, they were doing so well. How is Rymar so cool? I'd be beyond stressed. Yeah. It's beyond my control. A lot of this stuff is, like we're going to do our best these as high quality as we can, obviously with being on the road and kind of depending on internet connections. And it's not just my connection too, right? It's like the guest connection coming in and out and then going out to the net. So there's just a lot of complexity here, but thanks for kind of bearing with us. It looks like we're getting some good conversation about the type of format. We might need to go back through and read some of this kind of in detail there. Joe, do you want to jump through any of this stuff?
Yeah, sure. First, we have a comment from Penny saying, if someone is watching for the first time, they might be turned off by not being able to keep up. And this is a comment to creating, let's say, a very custom slider component. Well, hopefully we can make it so that anybody can follow. I think that would be our goal. Even if it's a complex slider, hopefully we can explain it in a way that even a beginner would be able to recreate it. And maybe that gives them a bit of confidence to continue using Webflow.
Yeah. We could also have like an intro, like maybe we have a client first for beginners, and we do kind of have that with the documentation and whatnot. I guess there needs to be some level of expectation because we can't just treat every stream as if we're doing it for first-time people. We kind of have to do like, hey, first-timers, here's the stream to start with, and then you can kind of catch us on this other stuff as we go here. So I don't know. I think some balance between that and diving into some of this other stuff, but I do get that concern here. Let's see. I think that as more of these streams are done, going back and labeling them more specifically for now users, correct. Yeah, I think so. Definitely the title is a little bit more descriptive. Yeah, let's see. Elena is saying, I think the repetitive content helps reinforce how properly use the system, and we can show how navigate slightly different scenarios. That's what we hope to really show here. That's like the goal here, is to be able to show the diversity of this. And so we're not really sure exactly how the best way to do that is, other than kind of showing someone building live. I do also think it would be cool to have some live build events. I think it would be cool in Gather, Joe, to have like some folks, imagine that Clone Comp workspace where people are kind of working, and imagine we had some of the client first folks on our team going around hands-on with different people, right? And they could pop into builds, answer questions, and it could be a little bit more collaborative in that regard. So I think that could be something good to do.
That sounds nice, absolutely. I love the idea of the viewers building with us. That's just such a cool concept. We have to figure out how to do that.
Let's see. As long as possible for those who really want to understand this conversation, but start using the idea in their projects. I'm one, but today, okay, yeah, all right. Section of client first. Yeah, Clammy, that's what we were talking about, is maybe just building little sections here. And it would help the SEO views if you had the specific file title on your videos. Yeah, for sure. We kind of did this with the critique stuff, and we kind of did this with the growth stuff when we started. We'll get better at naming these and organizing them and kind of laying that all out. So for sure, those are all things. That's all good feedback. Clammy had one more. It's just so that people can directly look for, yeah, build a slider with client first. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And also, the reason this is called Client First Live Build number 2 is because we really didn't prepare for this. We picked out this site build just a few hours ago, that this is truly a live build. This was not something we built and reviewed and really came up with specific content for. So it's very raw, it's very new, but yeah, we're going to get better at that.
I think that's part of what I like about part of this is that it's just happening, right? Like we're not produced, we're not staged. Literally 30 minutes before we were scrambling to find like whether or not this stream was actually going to happen. And so the goal here is just to kind of learn and evolve, and the product will grow with us. These streams will evolve, and a year from now, they'll be perfectly polished and they'll be, beautiful, and we'll have, a lot more kind of context and structure behind them. But right now, it's just us kind of figuring out the best way to deliver this value in real time to all of you. Let's see, Arianto here saying, would be nice to have a session of how to make non-client first project client first, or how to turn my bad practice into good practice. That's actually a really good thing. I think we should, that's a great concept, Joe. We could go into like a showcase project, or we could find somebody's old project, or maybe we could have the crowd submit some projects that are not client first, and moving that over. And that would be good actually for that workshop that I was talking about. That would be good to have some folks come in with their existing builds, and we're going to show people how you could go back and retrofit. And the only problem with something like that, and this happens often when people reach out for help in Webflow, like we have some of y'all are in our no-code Slack, and folks often share a project in there, or they ask like, hey, how would you do X, Y, or Z? And then I go into their project and I see that there's like a million things wrong before getting to X, Y, or Z. And it's like, well, I can't really help you with X, Y, Z because there's like this list of things over here that doesn't make sense. And we'd have to go back and fix some of that before we could fix or address this, because those are impacting this. And so, yeah, that would be, I don't know what the best way to do that is, because also somebody could bring these builds in and it may be difficult, right? We may have to rebuild them in real time in client first to show the difference to, from one to the other. Dylan's saying yes to converting non-client first to client first. Yeah.
We can call it a Webflow demolition series. We just rip your site to shreds, and we
and
we
build it
apply
back up.
client first principles, and
Clammy, that would be great. Then people go to their virtual desk and you guys can move around and see if everyone is okay. It's exactly what I'm thinking. Imagine there could be like a bunch of people into the space. They could be screen sharing while they build, and then we could have the client first certified folks coming by and checking and helping hands-on with each of the different people. That would be really good. Let's see, Penny is saying, I'd be embarrassed to submit my first Webflow site. Definitely a bunch of technical debt there. Yeah, I get that too. Sometimes like I go look at my original Webflow builds that are still like popular clonables, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry y'all are cloning this. Please don't judge me by my Webflow projects from 2 years ago, okay? Let's see, Magic, having the extension hit a button and it converts your site into client first. Yeah, we won't be able to do that, but we will be able to, do you want to talk about that, Joe? There's some extension updates coming. I came in like a wrecking flow. Clammy, I almost sang that out loud. I came in like a wrecking flow. I just see Miley coming across the screen. Sorry, squirrel moment. But extension updates, there were some issues with when you install the client first structure into your project using that extension, kind of like one-click paste. There were some issues with like the way Webflow pastes the information onto the page, which was kind of reversing the CSS specificity. And so we've got an update coming that's going to programmatically add that stuff into your project so that we don't lose any of that specificity. So Jay, there won't be like a one-click, hey, fix this to turn it into client first, but you will be able to kind of bring the system in structurally to the site using client first.
And we're also working on another update, not directly related to client first, but will be a huge win for everybody using client first. It's going to come in October, a little bit later down the road, and it's going to be search and replace. So we can take an example of what Harshit is building right here. Let's say features 1. And we realize later in our build, we keep using features 1, And now it doesn't really feel like features one anymore, because on this page, it's before the footer. And on this page, it's in the header. And now features one just doesn't apply to us anymore. So this search and replace functionality of the extension will let you target a keyword like features one, and then rename that keyword globally across your build. So maybe you want to name this more general, or you want to take home header and just make it header because you ended up using home header on the about page, the contact page, and the features page. So we're doing a lot with the extension with client first in mind and with flexibility in mind, so that if you do name something incorrectly, or you just realize that wasn't the best decision when building, you can then go rename it later in the build.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
Nice. Yeah, search and replace for classes in Webflow would be great. That's fantastic. Okay, Harshit, let's check in with Harshit. I feel like we probably need to see where you at. Walk us through what you've built in the last 10 minutes of us just kind of blabbering on there.
Yeah, so this game banner section is finished, and now I'm working on this controller slider. So this is a really interesting section because I'm using here two Webflow components. One of them is tab. So if you see the live website, here we go. Let's cancel this. Okay, so we have this. So what I think I will do here is I will make these colors as tab components, and I will embed slider in each of this tab panel. So this is how I am building it right now. So I have my section header again here, and below my section header, I am naming this as controller tabs component. And inside that, I have named each and every element of my tabs. I'm not going to leave them as it is. So we have the tabs menu. The tabs menu will have all the colors, 3 of them. And then we have the tabs content. Inside that, we have the panel. And inside panel, I am going to place my slider. I was working on the slider here, and this is how it's going to look like. I'm going to embed the image on each slide like this. So let's take an image. I can see that they are not using PNGs on their live website. I think it's because they want to optimize the website. Yeah, maybe because they take less space, the JPEGs. But anyways, so this is how I'm going to structure the slider, and you can assume it to be something like this. And here we go. So we have our slider and we have our tabs that is going to work in few minutes.
Nice. Okay. Joe, do you want to answer? I see you chatting, answering, I think it was Emma's comment. Let's see. Emma George asking about the search and replace. How is that different than renaming a class? Can you explain what you were trying in the comments there, why that's more important than just renaming it in the actual styles panel? Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I'm back.
Okay. Sorry, Joe dropped out for a second there. Can you answer this question from Emma? I know you were doing it in the comments there. How is that different than renaming a class? So let's say the search and replace thing you were talking about. Can you maybe explain that for everyone else there?
Sure. So when we rename a class in Webflow, we are renaming that class. With search and replace, we're able to update a keyword across any class in the build. So imagine we have a component, a slider component, that has 20 different classes inside. The slider, home slider arrow, home slider content, home slider image. We can take home slider, just that keyword, and replace every single instance of that keyword with a new name. For example, global slider or product slider or just slider. And that way, if we rename, if we have a component name, we can change every class within that component with a new component name. And as long as you're following client first principles and you're organized with your component names, this is a very, very powerful feature to be able to rename these as you go from page to page.
Nice. Yeah.
And you can even, another feature I didn't even say about it, you can actually duplicate those classes. So maybe you want to copy the home class name so you can just edit it like it was a fresh component. Really nice.
Great. Okay, back to Harshit. Harshit, talk to us. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so I have just styled my arrows and it started looking nice. I'm just going to copy this slider that I have made and I'm going to switch the colors of different controllers. So it's going to start working then. So let's do this. First, let's check we have the proper naming here. So see, as you can see right now, I don't have a name for this. First, I will go ahead and name this thing. Let's name this slide image. So let's name it slide image. Here we go. And I'm going to just copy and paste these sliders. Here we go. And now I will just copy this slider and paste this inside each of my tab. So now you can see that when I'm changing the tab, I am actually changing the colors. And to change the actual colors, I'm going to replace the images. So let's see a very quick demo here. We will replace this with the black one. First image, second image, and the third image. Nice. Here's the black controller, and this one is the white controller. Nice.
And again, for anyone who's following along or maybe just joined us shortly, we're rebuilding the DualSense wireless controller from Sony PlayStation. And those assets are all up in the beginning. If you go into the live chat, it's one of the first comments there that kind of explains, and you can download all these assets if you're trying to build this. Or you can wait another week or two, and we'll have this fully set up to clone, and you could just use it as a live demo example here.
Nice.
Okay.
I would like to show the structure of this section.
Sure.
So as you can see, guys, so we have this slider section that is not having any page padding because of the reason that the controllers are overflowing. I cannot use a page padding here. So how I am structuring this section is, you can see for the rest of my section, and this is the flexibility that we have with client first. In rest of the sections, I am placing my page padding, and inside that I have my container, and then inside that I have my padding vertical. But in this section, okay, I will open it. Here we go. But in this section, I am having my padding vertical before and my page padding after that. The reason is I am only going to place my page padding on the section header this time. So when I open my page padding, you can see my section header is inside that, and my container, my controller tab component is outside my page padding because of the reason I want this controller to overflow and expand. I can always give this a max width. So here I am giving it a max width of 1440 pixels, and I'm also center aligning this by setting a margin out on both sides. The reason is, if I go to a bigger display, I want this controller to stick in the center. If I remove this thing, you can see that it is left aligned, and I want this to be center aligned, and this is how it is structured. If I remove this max width, it will keep expanding, and I don't want that because this section needs a maximum width. Let's use the same trick that I was showing in the last stream. Let's convert pixels into rems. 1440 divided by 16 rem, and here we go. Webflow does the calculation for us.
Nice. And then did you do something on the slider to allow, did you remove the mask? Did you remove overflow hidden on the mask of the slider to show the other elements out there? Or how did you get that effect?
Nice question. Really nice question. So to get that effect, you're right. I am actually removing the overflow hidden. So by default in Webflow sliders, if you go to the mask, we have this overflow hidden property. I am setting this to overflow visible. Once I do that, it is going to be visible. There is one more step. So we have the same property on our tabs mask as well, because there is a mask for tabs, and in that I am also going to set overflow visible, and now it's completely seamless.
Nice.
And one more thing that is really interesting, so you can see that my arrows are really touching the line here, and I don't want that. So what I can do is, you can see the class for my arrow is controller tabs underscore slide arrow. And I'm then using a combo class that is left and is right, so that uh, I can set a absolute positioning and then a distance from this line right here. So for the right element, I'm going to set 2.5 rems, and from the left, I'm going to set it from the left side. That is going to be 2.5 rems. I can also go with a percentage based system here. That is actually better. Let's go with 15% here and 15% here. The reason to choose percent here is so that when I am expanding and shrinking my display, I can have the positioning preserved. So let's go to a bigger screen. So you can see that it is actually, yeah, it is actually getting responsive really nice. Here we go.
And again, just to point out, if you're looking at the PlayStation site itself, as we go through these builds, the goal here is not to match the sites pixel perfect. You can go check out like Pixel Geek or Sarkis or one of the other folks that's kind of just more design heavy, that's focused really on like the pixel perfect design here. What we're trying to show you is the functionality inside Webflow using client first. So how to build these components so that they're globally available, so that the styles are effective. And of course, because we're doing this live, we're just not going to go into the nitty gritty of the details. But if we wanted to, you spend a couple extra hours on this and you could get any of this to match 100%. And so again, just as you're watching, if you're looking and kind of have a real tight eye on design, we're mostly focused on just the structure of how to build these components using client first. So just keep that in mind as we go through these builds.
Nice.
Let's see, Jay had a question here that we might address. Speaking of image types, let's see, is there any way to extend the ability using GIFs? I don't know what that is, and WebPs. I don't think those image formats are supported inside of Webflow, so it's not something we could add with the extension.
Yeah, a really good rule with extension updates is if you can do it in Webflow, if there is some functionality linking to that in Webflow, we can make it happen. For example, unbind CMS. You can unbind CMS in Webflow. We're making it a bulk action for you. But you cannot upload WebPs. So we cannot upload WebPs. But yeah, Jay, it would be really cool if we could.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
And if those who don't know, they're just more modern image formats that allow for better compression. They're also not supported equally across all versions of the browsers, of different browsers. And so I think this is kind of Chrome and some new format image formats that will probably soon be adopted and available to other platforms, and they'll be more, once they're more widely supported, I think they will be adopted inside of Webflow. But yeah, as Joe said, right now, because they're not available, it's hard to recreate. We're not adding any functionality per se to Webflow. We're just helping you use existing functionality in more efficient ways. Might be a good way to look at that.
I love seeing all of these elements expanded here. Look at the component naming. This is so clear. Component controller tabs. Yep, there we go. So this is really, really organized. If we find this class somewhere else in the build, or we use it on a different page, or it comes up randomly in a search, we know what this is for. It's for the controller tabs. And after we build this section, we'll do a search inside the styles panel and show how we can return every single style that was created for the controller tabs. Yeah. Really, really organized. This looks and feels great for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. That's the whole point of the system here, right? Is some kind of consistency in the way that these things work. Let's see, Safari is the only one really behind the times at this point. Get on it, Apple. Yeah, I think Safari, even though they've made some major updates to Safari in this new version of their OS, which theoretically makes it faster and hopefully more performant, but maybe they'll catch up. They're still lacking on some of those web format, those new modern image formats. I also question, I think we're going to start seeing more of a hard fork between PC and Apple, especially as Apple gets into their own processors, you know? And so we're already starting to see that those M1 chips created a whole ripple of impacts on software developers and people having to optimize for that platform. And so we'll see how all that evolves over time with, you know, Intel and AMD and anybody else who comes into that space. Lots of evolution on the tech world. All right, Harshit, give us a little update. What looks like you've styled these out. You've got the different colors available. Talk to me. What's happening here?
Yeah. So this section is ready. I can see my slider arrow is messing up for some reason. Let's troubleshoot that here live. And rest of the thing is ready. It's working really well. I can see different colors. I can even add a hover effect here. But if you look inside, I'm going to read out any random class name here, and you will see that it's very clear. So controller tab slide. When I'm reading this, I can understand this is the slide of the controller itself. And we have controller tab slider that is different than a slide. So slider is something that is having multiple slides. So slide is one slide. And then we have controller tabs text wrapper here. But when reading this, I can understand this is wrapping the text for my controller, and it is right here. And let's fix this thing. Okay, I see the issue because we have different sliders. I forgot to apply the combo class. So this you can see when I click here, I can see my combo class. So I'm just going to select is left, and here I will select is right. I will do the same with my black controller. My white controller is left and is right. Here we go. And this section is ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
And again, the way Webflow's native slider works, you know, you've got the, like it starts at slide 1 and then it kind of loops to the end, and you can kind of get hacky with Webflow slider to get it to do some of these more performance stuff, but there's other sliders out there. There's other ways you can modify some of this stuff. So again, just focusing on how to build with native Webflow tools using client first, on how some of this stuff lays out. Any thoughts on sliders, Joe or Harshit? Webflow's native versus like using some other component or anything else like that?
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. I know a lot of people like to use the Webflow native slider because you really feel like it is native to the platform. You get to style it directly. You get to see how it reacts in preview, not on the published site. So we are working on ways to improve the slider. That's on our list. We may have some good updates on that soon. But yeah, for this, maybe an external slider may be a good move if you were building this for production, to be able to have that infinite view, to be able to start on the second slide without getting into some custom code. So yeah, it's a very case-by-case basis with the sliders.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought that up is because a lot of people, I see that, you know, the infinite, and Eric is even saying it here, lots of people are looking for that infinite carousel type look, which I think is what the original site calls for here. And again, just because we're building this stuff live and that we're focusing on the client first rather than like the design matching, I'll keep making those, you know, clarifications wherever possible, and then open up for conversations. I know lots of folk have different thoughts about the sliders in Webflow or different components in Webflow, and so maybe during some of these shows we can use that time to discuss some of the differences and some of the values of using one versus the other in some of these instances. All right. So what's left on the site? Sections, it looks like another little icon. All right, yeah, some 3D. It's got some 3D in here. I don't know if this is actual 3D. So, yeah. How much of this are you planning on recreating, Harshit?
Yeah, I can do this all day.
We were joking
Yeah.
around before the stream. We had like 4 minutes to go, and Harshit said, "No, no worries, we have 4 minutes." And I was like, for Harshit, 4 minutes is like half a work day. But for the rest of us, 4 minutes is just 4 minutes. But for Harshit, 4 minutes is like. Okay,
Nice.
so right now he's
That's an
working on the-
MP4 that's spinning. Oh, yeah, please.
Nope, I was just going to say Harshit's working on this next little section here. Let me go to the live site. So right under the slider, if you're following along, we've got the hero section. Then you've got this little YouTube section that goes into these icon columns, followed by a big hero section, which we've already built. And what we were just looking at and working on was this choose your style with the little slider here that has the different images. And right under that is where we find Harshit right now, building these little left to right hero sections. And I'm wondering, those come back up at the bottom. So I'll be interested to see how Harshit approaches this. And then this is what Joe is saying. You said it's an MP4, Joe?
Mm-hmm. MP4.
Okay. So that's just a video looping in the background there. It's no real 3D. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Harshit is creating these left to right sections.
Nice. I would like to show a really nice use of our global class again. So we have a cream kind of color on this section that I can see. So what I will do, I will take a background color gray. It appears like gray to me, so I will just name it gray. And I'm just going to add my global. So inside my global, I will add the gray color that I have taken from the website. And let's save this as maybe background background green, or maybe background gray. Let's call it gray to be more clear. We go. And now I can use this background color on these sections as a global class. So let's use this background color gray here. And now I have this color applied. I can delete this thing. Here we go. And from a second section, again, I can use the same thing. So again, I would like to show the structure of this section. Really interesting. So I am using this mic underscore component, and inside that you can see I have a global class that is named as layout to call. I am not going to name this as mic underscore grid or mic underscore to call, because I can use this layout to call in my next section as well. That is exactly the same but flipped. So let's copy and paste this section for now, and I can just flip this thing. And I do have to rename my mic component, but I can use the layout to call here as well. Let's change the styling. You can see I can control both of them at the same time. And let's see a nice use case of padding vertical. So here you can see that I don't really want this space here. What I can do is simply I can remove the padding vertical, and I can only add padding bottom. I'm going to add padding bottom and padding X large. Now, oh, it's X huge. Let's add padding X large. Here we go. Now you can see that I only have a bottom padding here, and the section in the top is having the padding on both sides. So this is how we can actually use our padding top, bottom to make a flexible structure for us.
Nice.
And this is a great way to apply this padding if you wanted to keep this off of the layout to call. So you have this layout to call, you don't want to apply any spacing to this so that you can reuse it later in the build without worrying if it has the right top, bottom, left, right type spacing on it. So really nice. You can use the globals for that. You can also apply it direct to the mic component, that if you wanted to, if you had some reason to do that, you could have padding top and bottom on that mic component. Again, depends on the situation, depends on your build. There is no right or wrong answer to this. It depends on how you want this spacing to be managed.
Yeah, and I'm over here reading about this wireless controller, and thinking maybe I'm missing out on this PlayStation thing. And this like wireless controller's got some cool AV functionality. It's like chat with friends online using the built-in microphone or connect a headset directly. And then it's got a mute button on the controller. That's pretty high tech there. And then capture and broadcast your most epic gaming moments with the create button. So it's like, yeah, you can produce content on the fly right from the remote. So not only are people playing the video games now, they're actually producing in real time. So yeah, there's so much, man. This is like these. A gaming icon in your hands. I'm over here, but I'm about to buy a PlayStation just to get this controller, you know? I don't know if you can get the
It
PlayStation.
looks cool.
Like it does look cool.
Few years back, I was like very hardly addicted to games. I used to play games like 8 to 10 hours a day, and I was destroying myself.
Oh my
I
gosh.
actually, I was actually skipping my lunch, my dinner, and yeah, it was a hard time.
Yeah, I could totally I could see it though. I mean, these games nowadays are so immersive, and now with the with the live community aspect of it, where you're live chatting and this has been around for a while, but like I think video gaming is very soon going to take over most of entertainment. Like most things are going to become a game. We will
Yep.
live inside of these gaming worlds, and there's some wild stuff coming on the backbone of these gaming servers. These procedurally generated universes that are being built inside of some of these games that are just, again, so immersive and are unique. Like they're just an AI building the world for you in your game. It's just, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how those worlds merge.
Maybe too interesting.
Well, I geek out a lot on like quantum physics and science, and there's like for anybody out there that doesn't know, there's like this thing called the Fermi paradox, and one of the questions it asks is essentially, if the universe is so big, where are the aliens? And one of the hypotheses is that once you reach a certain level of intelligence as a species, you lack the desire to actually go out into the universe anymore and explore physically. You dive into the worlds you create. And so maybe where we're headed is, instead of being some like crazy spacefaring society, we're actually just going to build the Matrix and all plug into it, and then we could live in whatever fake world we want to build. And so, yeah, who knows? It's fun to think about some of those big thoughts and questions sometimes.
I like how the PlayStation controller just made you think of all that. It's a pretty cool controller.
Yeah.
Let's see. Arianto's asking a good question here. Should we merge the padding vertical plus padding large if we use like multiple plus background color white in one div repeatedly? I'm not really sure.
Not. My first thought is no, that we don't want to merge our spacing classes like this. If there is one spacing that you're just going to use every single place throughout your site, maybe. No, I don't know. I don't think so. Harshit, what do you think about that? Would you recommend merging padding vertical, padding large?
With a combo with a custom class.
Merging them together, maybe like your official section padding.
Yeah, so something like this. Sorry, can you please repeat the question for me? I was focusing on the section.
Yeah, here, I'll put it back on
Sure.
the screen.
Would you recommend merging a
Yeah.
padding vertical, padding large into one? I'm guessing into one class. So maybe this would be called padding section.
I see.
Yeah, you
what
could.
mean. Okay,
if,
nice.
If that's for every section, sure. Yeah, if you wanted to unify all sections and have a global class that manages your padding for your sections, yeah, I do like that as I think it through.
Yeah, I think there is a better way to do that. So what you can do is you can separate the section paddings. So I have seen Alex Dram doing this, and this is a really nice way. So what you can generally do is create a section padding class just like this, and you are going to use this section padding in all of your section. Okay, so let's say I have a basic section padding of 4 rams, just like this, and then I can have something like is small. So let's say I will make it 2 rams like this. So if I want to apply this section padding now in any of my section, I can simply go here on my section. I will type here section padding, and then I will just type in that is a small, something like this. Or I can also create different globals like section top, section padding top, section padding bottom. But again, it can be done, but I personally think that this is a good way to handle this. But again, yeah, there are use cases. You can create your globals if that's really flexible.
Yeah. And I think that probably goes to the layout, right? If you have a specific use case where you're going to be using that element a ton and you wanted to just create a custom component for it or a custom class or a global style to just apply to that one element instead of doing combos or multiple combos every time, I think that would be perfectly acceptable. And that's kind of the flexibility of the client first system, is to be able to do that kind of thing specifically. Is to say, hey, if I have a use case for this, I can have all my global styles over here, but then in this one instance, if I want this gray background, if I want this specific padding on one section, and I want to be able to, with one class, pull all that stuff, sure. You know, that's kind of the value of client first there.
Totally.
And this
Yeah,
Marcel
so-
Haynes is asking too, or saying, which Joe, I think this is client first makes me daydream about creating a big library with layouts, often used components like cards, sliders, using all best practices. We've got a ton of those resources already available, and I could totally see about this on the growth all the time, finding unique ways to stand out and build your brand. I could see lots of people, or at least one or two, the first few early ones to do it right, to build some beautiful libraries and resources around this client first stuff that's like add on to this. You're going to get growing SEO because we're not going to stop talking about client first. You know, we're not going to stop sharing and kind of explaining this system. And so, yeah, I could see somebody taking advantage of and building on top of those resources to, whether you use them for yourself, whether you share them for others, whether you want to use this to drive leads or build clout in the community. There's a number of reasons why I could see something like that, you know, be helpful. Any thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Marcel, I would encourage you to go do that. And when we release our user submitted client first projects, we're going to feature the most popular ones, the most valuable ones. So if you create a badass library with all of these components, people love it, people use it. Sure. I mean, that could be right in the docs. That could be right inside of our resource center, ready for people to go and use when they go check out client first as a system.
Nice. Then we had another one here. Try you say that name, Ike, saying it's so helpful to see how you build pages. Thanks for streaming. Yeah, our pleasure. That's what we're here for, just to help pass on some of this knowledge. So if you appreciate it, go ahead and hit that like button, share it with a friend, share the YouTube channel with a friend, you know, whatever. You pay it forward. Share the client first structure with somebody, you know, go pick something Finsweet and share that with someone else today. That would be the best present you all could give us, would just be sharing some of this stuff with other folks in the world. So let's check back in on Harshit here. Harshit, talk to me. It looks like you're duplicating a little like grid area, a little grid section area, some feet. Oh, no, it's just a little 3-column layout.
Yeah, and we have a cool interaction here. So when I'm scrolling, so I am probably going to, when I'm going to finish this website, I am going to make this I will try to make this better in terms of interaction. So I have this scroll interaction here instead of it auto playing. So because this is Lottie animation, I can control the interaction from Webflow, and this is actually getting in. So here we go. The 360 view. It is actually interacting on my scroll. Here we go.
Nice.
And let's. Yep. I'm right now I'm working on the features 2 component. So as you can see that I was talking about this section, I feel like this is also a feature section. Now I can name this as features 2 component. if you feel like you are going to reuse this grid, so in this case you can call it something like maybe only features component, so that you can reuse these grids again and again, right? Or you can call it maybe cards component, something like that. That makes sense, okay? And features, when I use features underscore sorry, when I use features underscore component, I can reuse this section again and again. Yeah.
Nice.
But for now, let's name it
Really nice.
features 2 component.
Harsh shit, you about to become a celebrity. Clemmy is saying, I'd love to have you as a guest speaker for one of our Floxies event on Wednesday. Teach us a bit more about client first. That'd be cool. We won't even charge you royalties, Clemmy. We won't even we don't even have to charge speaker fees or anything, you know, like I'm sure Harsh shit would be more than happy to do that for y'all. So.
We'll send you the rate card after the show here.
That's right. The guest speaker rate card. Clemmy's saying, and I'll make sure to spread the word like jam everywhere I can, because what you people do is just amazing. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think this community is just folks building off of each other, and that really like compounds. So yeah, any way you can find to pay it forward, and any way you can find, like, if you're doing cool stuff, let us know about it, right? Share a link with your project, tell us about your group, community, meetups, like whatever it is that you are doing in this space. Our goal here is to help find and connect those folks, and then also, you know, help reciprocate that, right? So we've got a little bit of a platform here that we can help use to prop other people up. And as we all work together, rising tides lift all boats. So Clammy, pizza's great. I'll take pizza. She says she can pay in pizza. That's it, yeah. Jay saying,
yeah, but the spreading the word like jam.
Yeah,
that's the payment. Spreading the word like jam. That's what we want.
Right.
That's all we care about.
Nice.
And pizza.
And pizza. I don't know. I did. Speaking of, we were walking around Playa yesterday, and I did see this little like wood-fired pizza spot that I was like, we're coming back there at some point on this trip. Alrighty. So, harsh shit. You're making progress over here. So we've got the 3 columns laid out. I'll remind folks what we're building here real quick. Let me jump over to that screen and pull this. We're rebuilding this DualSense wireless controller. And so we're right about this section here, moving into the next section underneath it. So grab player 2 and discover a world of local multiplayer games. Yeah, this is crazy, this gaming stuff. This is like your controller into this new metaverse that we're building. Actually, we might get sued for saying metaverse, because didn't Facebook just launch like an actual metaverse? Okay.
Oh yeah, I did see that. This will be taken off of YouTube in a few hours. Make sure you just watch it again as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And Harshit, it looks like, did you copy and paste that element from somewhere else? So it looks like you're reusing. Let's talk to people about how you're doing that, because this is something you should do as often as possible. When you're working in Webflow and you're using global systems, instead of just when you want to create a new element and you're like, start naming classes, think about, where else have I used something like this in my project? Where else did I use a little 2-column layout that I can have something else that I can flip-flop, right? So like, how do I pull this section, and instead of creating a new class, just copy that, paste it down, and then make sure any of your not symbol overrides, but like combo classes or class naming, make sure that doesn't impact the rest of your designed elements from before. But this is just step 1 in like creating a more global build. Right? So if you're creating new custom classes for every component you build in Webflow, you're probably doing this wrong. If you are reusing some of these and copying and pasting some of those elements and changing and modifying, now you're getting into a more global system. And so Harshit, can you talk to me a little bit about where you pulled that from? I see you're adding a few new sections in here, but it looks like you're reusing some of these elements.
Sure. So I made these 2 sections, the mic section and the create button section. So I created this layout to call, and now I can use this again on my next section, that is play together on PS5. So what I basically did is I copied the whole section and I pasted it right here. So I will do this again. Let's copy and paste the section. And I just renamed few of the things. Like I renamed the section. I renamed the component naming to be more clear. So here it says play together component. Uh, for this, I'm going to name it, let's say, click charge component. I'm just reading the name of the section, whatever feels relevant. I'm going to name this like this. Okay. So I just copied and pasted the section and I'm renaming the elements uh, with a relevant name. So let's say I just copied and pasted this element. I am going to rename this to click charge. And I can always copy the class. I don't have to, so that styles are preserved. I can copy the class. I'm going to call it click charge component, like this. And I am going to then again duplicate the class and rename it based on the section content. Here we go. And you can see I'm using global layout to calls in all of my sections here, and it's all over the place.
Very nice.
One really nice feature of renaming like this, keeping some things global and the same, and then renaming others, is when you get to mobile, when you get to tablet, when you get to these other breakpoints, you don't have to worry about making these massive global changes. It's very likely that these sections are not going to be exactly the same on mobile. They're kind of the same. We want to keep this layout to call the same on desktop, but going down to the next responsive level, it's different. So renaming gives us this flexibility of just changing the styles without worrying about it. So that's a really, really nice way to change those classes and not keep everything with the same class when copy pasting.
I'm laughing out loud here at Jay. Bob, did you see how Harshit reused that section, saving us so much time down the road? That's why we're here today. This is client first at its best, Bob. It's best. It's like that color commentary golf.
Yep.
We joked about that in the last week's show.
We should do one episode completely with that type of sports commentary. Yeah. We'll see if the view count goes up or down.
I don't think I could keep a straight face the whole time. Shane is asking, I missed out on hearing the trip. Where'd you guys go? Joe is still in Merida. I am making my way closer to Merida. So I am now in Playa del Carmen for this weekend and next week. Kind of getting my Mexico acclimated to the culture and the heat here. I'm from Florida. I'm used to heat, but we've got a little bit better air conditioning, or more consistent air conditioning, let's say. Down here, the heat is everywhere. So, yeah. But soon I will be in Merida. Not next week, but the week after. We'll have some cool episodes because Joe and I will be in the same space. And so it'll be a little bit different dynamic between us on the show, I think, a little bit. And so stay tuned for some of that. The content over the next couple weeks is going to get exciting. And then after that, for anybody who's paying attention, who hasn't been on the growth streams, I'm on the road for the next year. So I literally don't have a permanent address at this point. Don't tell the IRS. But yeah, we're just going to be bouncing around from city to city, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with this remote work, Webflow development, the no-code movement, all of the stuff that's going on. And so we'll be sharing a lot more about that over the next few weeks. Hopefully by the end of September, we'll have a full schedule of all the different cities and places we're going to be so that you all can kind of keep up with that and maybe impact some of the spots that we stop. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We will be on the road quite a bit. So we'll also ask for some grace in the kind of organization and technical aspect of some of this because yeah, we're just making it up as we go, as we've discovered already. So Clammy Lee, London, for sure. I would love to get out to London, all around Europe. So, and we have a lot of people on our team out there. So that's there's likelihood that stuff might happen. But right now, let's go back to the build here and see what progress Harshit has made. It looks like he's got these left and right kind of hero sections hooked up and is now working on what looks to be like some footer notes.
It's almost done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm curious why you're going list here. Can you explain that?
Yeah, because of the reason on the website, I can see that I can't really understand what format they are using, but I can't select the whole text at once. And that's why I'm using list here. Yeah.
Interesting.
I will call
Okay.
it notes. Yeah, I will call it notes component maybe. Or maybe, yeah, notes component, because this is going to have its own style. So, and let's call it notes item. Should I call it note list? Let's make it a global class so that I can use it somewhere else as well. List. List is small. That's a
And
good
it
name.
looks like, as I'm checking the clock, it looks like, maybe 2 hours is the right length for these type of builds, because it looks like we're going to get real close to the 2-hour mark as we get to the end of this second live client first build showcase. So I don't know. We talked a little bit about the format at the beginning. I think we may experiment. I think we may experiment with doing some short component type stuff, because 2 hours of content is hard to approach if you're just kind of getting started or if it's your first entry point. But also 2 hours of content may not be enough if you're looking to really dive in. You might want more than 2 hours worth of content. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to just kind of see how we evolve this. But feel free to leave your thoughts on what you'd like to see, what you'd like to see us do, and what you'd like to see the format of this evolve into. Harshit, can you recap real briefly again? Emma's asking, can you restate why the list again?
Yeah, sure. So, so in the live website, I can see we have 5 bullet points, and when I'm selecting this, I feel like it's a list element, and that's why I'm using list. And one more plus point of using a list here is because if I use a normal paragraph, they're not going to wrap up perfectly. So if I, let's say, make this 2 line, you can see that it is lining up perfectly, it is aligned perfectly. But instead, if I'm using a paragraph, let's use a paragraph here, and I type here 1, you can see that it's not aligned perfectly, right? So in this case, I felt like a list element is much better way. So that's why I'm using a list element. Yeah.
Nice. Great. Okay.
That is more neat and organized. And you know what? I went in Inspector, and PlayStation is not doing that. They have just a simple plain text, and they're just line breaking with the return.
Nice.
So yeah, I think this is nicer. I think that when it does break to mobile, it looks much better with those aligned as numbers.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Shane is saying a wave of nomads are coming. Yeah, that's right. The digital nomads are on the hunt, looking for opportunities and stories to tell and world to explore. We live in a cool time where we can do this stuff on the road, and yeah, I think this is for sure picking up quite a bit. Arianto's here saying, who here is on Twitter? Yeah, drop your Twitter handles in the comments. If you're on Twitter, drop your Twitter handles. Let's get some follows. Also on the Webflow showcase, drop your Webflow profiles in here. Let's see who we have in the crowd. So yeah, feel free to drop a Twitter handle and a Webflow profile link. Let's share the love on that. And then Jay said something about a studio here, but it's not pulling up on my internal chats. It says, I'm building a studio based on streaming and web development. High-tech shit, yo. You got to come through. So, yeah, we'll be up in that area. I think you're in Chicago, if I remember. Molly, my girlfriend, actually has a good friend in Chicago. We don't have specific plans to visit the city as of yet, but again, that could change. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, got some Twitter handles coming in here. Coleman Chris B on Twitter, would love to hook up with more people in the space for sure. CCAFEO, Cafeo on Twitter. Is Claudia, Cloud_UX UI on Instagram. Great. Yeah, keep sharing those Twitter handles, social handles. Penny's saying, I want to nomad, but husband got a job where they like to see bums in seats. Yeah, even though the job can be done 100% remotely. We talked about that in this past Tuesday. I know. There are some instances where I think it's needed or meaningful, at least at some level. But I think there's also a lot of companies that just, want it because they're scared or don't understand how to do the remote thing properly. Okay, let's see. Let's run through some Twitter handles here. So, Jose Arce, with an R at the end. Yep, there you go. Penny YOLO on Twitter. There you go. Arianto. All right, is on Twitter. Great. There's Clammy's. Chris Coleman. Okay. Jay Poucher in the house. Nice. Yeah, oiled style bosses. We talked about that a little bit in our last stream. Lizzie Curtis. Hi, Lizzie. All right, there you go.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Just 2 days ago on Tuesday, we had an F and Growth stream. We talked all about remote work, modern workspace. If you are managing a team or you want to manage a team in the future, or you're being managed, check out that stream. That was a really powerful one. It's, right here. There you go. Check it out. Highly advised. And Penny, you should make the fake Gmail account. Send this to your husband's boss. Maybe they'll make a change.
Nice. Yeah, and this was, it's funny because at the end of this stream, Molly told me, she goes, I don't think you talked a lot about like the specifics of project management. And I was kind of like replaying through my head and I was like, you're kind of right, but it was a different approach. It was more about the management style and the team growth management style and how to like build a self-sufficient team rather than so much like, here's the intricate nuances of managing tasks inside of a project. And so, I don't know. It was such a good stream from my perspective. Like after it, I felt like the rapport was great. The back and forth between Joe and I on that show was really good. And I think the content was stellar as it relates to managing a team or growing a team. So, I don't know. It's hard to cover a topic like project management in an hour, but it was a good stream and I recommend you check it out. I just shared it in the comments. Let's see. Hey, we have Grace just popped in too. Grace on Twitter here. So Grace on Grid, follow her on Twitter. What's up, Grace? Can't believe y'all are still streaming. Yeah, that's it. We're out here testing the limits of longer term streams. Let's go back to Harshit's screen here. And actually, y'all don't know this, but my goal is 24/7 streaming at some point. I don't know when and I don't know how, but one of the things I talked to Joe about when I first started, and one of the reasons I got on his radar was the video stuff I was doing and the no-code video website. If any of you have seen or remember that from the past. But my whole approach was, how do you turn all this stuff into like a media company, how real-time thing. And we have enough content at Finsweet. There's a lot of things that we could do. So expect us to keep experimenting and exploring long-form streaming, kind of always on stuff. I don't know when or how that's all going to evolve, but we will keep exploring and taking your ideas about how to get better.
Yeah, I think the community has to be involved with that level of streaming.
Yeah.
Which is great. We can do that.
I can't even tell y'all how valuable this stuff is as someone who is still so new to all of it. I truly feel like I'm growing personally, professionally every week, which is awesome. Yeah, that's the goal here. 100% the goal. We're super passionate about sharing this information with as many people as possible. And it looks like maybe we lost, Harshit's back, there we go. So I'm glad you're getting value out of that, Christopher. Please continue to hang with us and share how you think we might be able to improve some of this. So he says, if anyone on your end has questions, are you streaming tech, workflow problem solving, free to hit me up. Lots of experience over here. Yeah, I'd love to chat with anybody about that. We do have a fairly unique setup that's kind of already built. I wish I could, I might be able to go to it a little. Let's see. I don't know if I can do this. Fly. No, I don't have enough. We're going to do a full expose on this travel setup. I love you, Finny. I'm not sure what that is, but
Let's look at Shit's footer build here. He's using grid with footer, which I always think is a great idea. That parent wrapper that's wrapping all of the columns, grid is a great option because you can really customize the size of the columns. You can adjust the space in between each column. So this really works, and I think it works especially well for this grid, this footer. And using that footer underscore for the component name is always a good move. You don't have to get fancy when you're naming the footer. And also, I really like to have custom classes inside the footer. So I'm pretty sure those footer links are footer underscore link, or something with a link. That is great to have these custom classes. Yep, there you go, footer underscore link, so that you can quickly change them. Things like footers, things like navs, these usually get changed often. And I don't like when they're tied to many global styles because that really limits what you can do. For example, if he was using, let's say, that layout to call in here, and the layout to call changes really well for all the content on the site, but maybe not the footer, now you have to go and make that change. So staying more custom class based in the footer, I think, is a really, really great move right now.
okay. And that looks like that brings us to the bottom of this page, right?
Yeah, coming up to the end.
I was not expecting that we will be able to finish this because I think it's bigger than the previous website. Not sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe a less of a build with more like nuance on the design side. Because I think people maybe in the last two streams have gotten a good idea for how to like start structuring some of the elements. And now it would be good to show how we can refine some of that design. So how do you get into the nitty gritty? How do you get into some of those details? I think that's where sometimes you start adding combo classes and you start adding extra classes and custom stuff. And so maybe we could go and just get a little deeper on some of that from a style perspective would be helpful. Let me pull this graphics. Okay.
I think my loading animation is not loading. Is this loading for you, Remar?
On what? Yeah, I'm seeing.
Oh, okay. It's taking some time to load. I think I will have to compress it. But anyways, I would like to show one more thing that on the live website you can see that I am having this horizontal scroll, and I think it's because of the slider that we have. Here we go. That is the reason. So we can do two things here. I can either set overflow none to that slider, or I can go to my page wrapper, and here I can set overflow hidden. I can do both of them. So let's only do this for this section for now. Let's set overflow to hidden. Here we go. I think it should not overflow now, but let's check this out.
Nice.
Nice.
And if you're, yeah. And you could apply that at the top. You could apply that as your page wrapper if you wanted to just do all the sections at once. Just note that it'll kill any kind of position sticky element that you're using if you wrap the whole page wrapper in overflow hidden, because you can't use position sticky with overflow hidden. So yeah, just understand that, and that's where it may be more beneficial to do it just at the section level, like our shit just did. But there you go. That's the gist of rebuilding the structure of this, Sony DualSense wireless controller website. Let's see, we've got a Joe question here. Joe, how long did it take to design client first system? You must have tons of experience to make such a system, right? How did you first start?
Well, it started, the idea started because we kept growing the team. And I found that everybody kind of had the same style, but there was no official rules about it. There was no official guidelines. And when people were jumping into other people's builds, it was difficult for some to catch on. So I knew we needed to make a system. This was created by beginners on the team. It was created by our most experienced people. We had a team of beginners working to build this system for about 3 months. And they would ask the advanced people questions. The advanced people would come in with suggestions. And it was a very collaborative team process. We iterated and iterated and iterated. And I think the whole thing took about 6 to 8 months, maybe 3 large iterations. And it was a multi-team effort. This wasn't just me. It wasn't just 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
I think there was about 16 people actively chatting about this over 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I think a bunch of people on our team had thoughts and things to say, and it went through multiple iterations. I think it was probably like 3 months ago, Joe, that we released the first version as like a beta, and we had maybe like 100 or so people sign up from the stream, and we put that out there, and we got feedback from them. We got feedback from our internal team because we released this internally as well. And so as we used it, as we played with it, as people in the community used it, we kind of refined it and went through it. And I think what Joe said there can't be overstated. The group of new people coming in, but also the Webflow pros coming in and having them kind of bounce ideas off each other and having us all kind of play devil's advocate and think about the best way is really how we got to this final version that we're seeing today. And I don't think this is the final. I bet that as we go through, we will find a few little refinements, and what we're doing with this extension, we'll kind of all build that into one ecosystem. And as we're working to kind of certify folks and build some of this community alliance stuff and the the agency incubator stuff, I think you'll see this all start to come together as a grand plan for how we build these assets, how we give them to the community, and then how we all together generate more leads and opportunities for the people that are kind of playing inside of this sandbox with us. So that's at a high level kind of the goal here. So yeah, Gabe, that's probably a good thing to say here. A round of applause for Harsh Shit for kicking butt with this build.
Okay.
There
Thank you,
go.
guys.
get
Thank you so
2
much.
air horns and the
Great
applause.
job.
Yep.
Yeah.
So on our end, we are working to expand out the docs. We're almost there to be able to start posting these to you after we're done. So last week, this week, these will be made clonable. This will be something that you can, rewatch this video and follow along as more training. So we want to make these resources not just live streams. So we're working on that. We're going to add a few new sections to that. We're going to post some projects that we've been sent. A lot of people are built with Client First. We're going to be posting all of those. So if you're doing stuff with Client First, send it in to us. We want to see it. We want to post it.
Yeah, and we should get these streams. I think that's what you're talking about, Joe, right? Getting these 2 streams into these video section here. So yeah, just expect, we're working on all this on the fly. We'll get these live streams up here. Yeah, Joe, maybe because we never had a home for critique per se. maybe on this client first area, we build like client first live, or we build a section for these videos to live. Maybe just on the video section, there could be a place where we can have the next upcoming live stream or something like that. And then we can start kind of putting these underneath them. So it's like, hey, here's all the documentation, here's where you get started, and then over here is the deep dives. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of all this stuff, you can kind of check this out here. So yeah, our shit. Talk to me, buddy. What are you thinking after you build your second first client first build? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the build. I am going to finish this so that you all can clone it and explore the structure. I'm going to finish it. Maybe I will refine some of the animations and make it a masterpiece. I will not call it a masterpiece, yeah, but I definitely want to refine it. It's not finished yet.
Yeah.
And you can all share what you would like to see next. You can share what you like, and we will just look into that. And yeah, we can have a good website next time as well. Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
Great job. Great job. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's see. Clammy's saying, Joe Krug, suggestion for you to open Instagram channel with reels or videos of people, website built with client first. I'm not even sure that needs to be a new channel. I think maybe showcasing some of that on our end. We've got, trust us, we are ramping up and spooling up to do a lot of things. It's just hard with all these initiatives and all these balls in the air to try to do them all at once. And so, give us a little bit of time here to really kind of formalize and organize this. There's lots of things happening behind the scenes that y'all are not privy to yet, that we can't wait to really share as we go. So stay tuned for all of that as we grow the stream, grow the audience, grow the resources. Joe, any thoughts about any of that before we sign out here?
Yeah, excited for next week. This was great. Thanks for everybody, and especially to those who stick through the whole time. That's really cool. That means that this is valuable. This is working. So I really love to see that.
Yeah. Let's see, 35 folks hanging with us still right now, and that number's been pinballing between 30 and 40 the whole stream. 493 playbacks during the span of the show here, with an average watch time of 7 minutes 51 seconds, which means some of y'all are sticking, some of y'all are bouncing in and out. But yeah, we'll continue to be as transparent as possible with all this stuff. But 500 folks coming through the course of a couple hour stream to learn about client first, and 30, 40 of you sitting with us for a couple hours means a lot to us. So that's why we diligently work to get these streams each week. And again, if we can improve anything or do something better, let us know. We won't promise, but we will try. And so that's it. That's all we got. Thanks, everyone. Harshit, any final words before we go?
I don't have anything to say. Love you all, guys. That's all I have.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it. We'll catch y'all on the next stream. Thanks for tuning in with us. See you next week.